The time is 8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Anjana Dodamgoda and read by Tilani Pires. The headlines. The President says Sri Lanka will not support any work that hinders the unity of Asia. Sri Lanka will establish the world's first international environmental university. The Treasury receives 160 million rupee fine for brown sugar imports. The Sri Lanka Bar Association fully supports revision of labour laws. The Agriculture Minister instructs to inquire effective use of urea fertilizer in paddy cultivation. Vietnam Buddhists donate medicine to Sri Lanka. The Meteorology Department issues advisory on cyclonic storm Mocha. And on international news, Israeli airstrike kills missile commander of Palestinian Islamic Jihad. And on sports news, cricket, Sri Lanka level series with a dominant win over Bangladesh in the second women's T20 international. The President Ranil Wickremesinghe has emphasized that Sri Lanka will not support any work that hinders the unity of Asia. The President revealed this while participating in the ceremony held on Wednesday afternoon to mark the 50th anniversary of the Bandaranaike Memorial International Conference Hall in Colombo, which is the first international conference hall built in Asia. The President pointed out that there are many differences between the Asian geopolitics and the politics of the Pacific region, and that we should recognize those differences and work to preserve peace and stability, and will establish the world's first international environmental university in Sri Lanka. Meanwhile, during the 10th Environment Pioneer President's Medal Awarding Ceremony 2020-2021 held at the BMICH, President Ranil Wickremesinghe announced that Sri Lanka is establishing the world's first international environmental university to support the global effort in addressing climate change. The President acknowledged that although climate change is a significant challenge for the world, there is no central research hub to study it, and invited multiple countries to join Sri Lanka in the effort. The State Minister of Finance, Dr. Ranjit Siamalapitiya, said that the company guilty of importing 607.5 metric tons of brown sugar to Sri Lanka in violation of the Customs Ordinance and the Import and Export Control Act has credited the relevant fine to the Treasury. Accordingly, the State Minister said that an amount of 160 million rupees has been credited to the Treasury as the relevant fine. The State Minister pointed out that a case was filed in courts regarding the incident, and according to the court's verdict, the company has made arrangements to pay the fine. It was discovered by the customs officials on the 9th of January 2023 that the brown sugar, which was restricted from importing, had been imported under the pretext of white sugar. The Bar Association of Sri Lanka has agreed to provide full support to bring a simple, strong and updated labour law system for the future of the country. The Senior Legal Counsel's advisor on labour laws of the Bar Association, Kanishka Veerasinghe, said while attending a public consultation session initiated by the Minister of Labour regarding the amendment of the labour laws that the Bar Association is working to provide full legal support for the preparation of a unified labour law system. He pointed out that the labour laws should be changed immediately, and as they directly affect the development and the economy of the country. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
People's Bank Excelsior. Live the life you want.
A delegation of Vietnam Buddhists handed over a consignment of medicine to the Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena at Temple Trees today. This donation was symbolically handed over to the Prime Minister by the Most Venerable Thich Nguyen Minh, Vice Supreme Patriarch of the Council of the Vietnam Buddhist Sangha. Thereafter, the Prime Minister handed over this consignment of medicine worth $20,000 to the Secretary of the Ministry of Health. Mahinda Amarveera, the Minister of Agriculture, instructed the relevant officials to immediately conduct an inquiry into the opinion presented by some parties that 65% of the urea fertilizer used for paddy cultivation is wasted and only 35% of the urea fertilizer used is effective. Considering the standard of the urea fertilizer in the country, it is recommended to use only urea fertilizer with burette percentage less than 1 for paddy cultivation. But China, Great Britain and even the United States consider the percentage of burette in urea fertilizers to be more than 1.5. Therefore, the minister instructed the officials to submit the recommendations of an expert committee for more effective use of 100% of the urea fertilizers used for crops while protecting the quality of the urea fertilizers currently used in the country. That ends local news for now.
People's Bank Excelsior, a comprehensive banking services package with a branded checkbook as well as debit and credit card exclusively for you. People's Bank Excelsior, for professionals who dare to dream.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
The staff team of the International Monetary Fund has arrived in Sri Lanka today. The IMF said this visit comes as part of the regular consultations between the global lender and the island nation ahead of the first review mission later this year. The delegates of the global lender will be staying in Sri Lanka until the 23rd of May 2023. They are to call on the President Ranil Wickremesinghe this morning, soon after the arrival, according to the Finance State Minister Ranjit Siamlapitiya. According to an IMF statement, the Director of its Asia and Pacific Department, Krishna Srinivasan, is expected to join this delegation from 12th May to the 15th of May 2023. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
And on watch light tonight, the deep depression over the southwest Bay of Bengal has intensified into a cyclonic storm Mocha, and it laid centered near the southwest Bay of Bengal at 05:30 am today, the meteorology department said in a new weather advisory. This cyclonic storm is very likely to move northwestwards and gradually intensify into a severe cyclonic storm by midnight of today. Thereafter, it is expected to recurve gradually and move northeastwards from Friday morning and intensify further into a very severe cyclonic storm around Friday evening over the central Bay of Bengal. The system is likely to weaken slightly from Sunday morning and cross southeast Bangladesh and North Myanmar coasts around forenoon on Sunday, the 14th of May 2023. That came to you in Watchlight. Moving on with world news and the headlines first. Israeli airstrike kills missile commander of Palestinian Islamic Jihad. The mystery Chinese spacecraft returns to Earth after 276 days. Nicaragua orders closure of Red Cross in continuing crackdown. A pre-dawn Israeli airstrike on an apartment in the Gaza Strip has killed a top Palestinian Islamic Jihad commander and one other person. A warplane attacked an apartment on the 5th floor of a building in Hamad residential city near Khan Yunis in the south of the Strip. Wednesday saw militants in Gaza firing more than 460 rockets in Israel. The Israeli military hit more than 130 militants targets in Gaza in the heaviest fighting in 9 months. Palestinian medical sources estimate the death toll from fighting this week is now at least 24, including 3 other PIJ commanders. An experimental Chinese spacecraft returned to Earth on Monday after staying in orbit for 276 days, China's state media reported, completing a landmark mission to test the country's reusable space technologies. The unscrewed spacecraft returned to Yuquan Launch Center in northwest China on Monday, as scheduled according to state media. No details were given on what the spacecraft was, what technology was tested, how high it flew, and where its orbits had taken it since its launch in early August 2022. Images of the craft have also yet to be released to the public. The National Assembly of Nicaragua has voted to dissolve the local branch of the Red Cross, a non-profit humanitarian organization, as part of an ongoing clampdown on groups seen as hostile to the government of Daniel Ortega. The law to shutter the Red Cross passed unanimously on Wednesday with a legislature under control of Ortega's Sandinista party. Back to the world news headlines. Israeli airstrike kills missile commander of Palestinian Islamic Jihad. The mystery Chinese spacecraft returns to Earth after 276 days. Nicaragua orders closure of Red Cross in continuing crackdown. That ends world news.
Development news.
President Ranil Wickremesinghe has instructed the relevant officials to amend the existing ordinances regarding lands to suit the current development needs. The head of state issued these instructions during a discussion held at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday evening on amending the provisions of the ordinances of land management institutions and introducing new legislations and regulations. During the meeting, he also informed the respective officials to appoint a suitable committee to speed up the work. That was development news. Coming up, sports news. Chamari Athapattu top scored with 33 and Harshita Samaravikrama contributed an unbeaten 29 to help Sri Lanka women to a comfortable 7-wicket series levelling win in the second T20I in Colombo today. Bangladesh were bowled out for 100 in 18.3 overs with Udeshika Prabodhani, Sugandhika Kumari, Inoka Ranavira and Kavisha Dilhari all taking 2 wickets each for the hosts. Oshadi Ranasinghe and Kavya Kavindini took a wicket each, ensuring that all 6 of the bowlers used were among the wickets. That was sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship ekata menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The e-Channeling PLC, the largest channeling and digital lifestyle service provider in Sri Lanka and a subsidiary of SLT Mobitel, marked a landmark financial year 2022, recording a robust performance as it sets a strong foundation in its continued journey towards transforming Sri Lanka's digital lifestyle services with an aim to positively impact the digital lifestyle services of Sri Lankans and the healthcare sector. E-Channeling is committed to unite science, technology and talent, clearly demonstrated by growth in revenues, forging of strategic partnerships and expanding its proficiencies that make a difference and deliver value to all its shareholders. That came to you in Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dakapu hina habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship ekata menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Economic news, courtesy of
LONC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LONC Finance claims the overall gold award whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking.
The Asian Development Bank Chief of Gender Equality, Samantha Hung, last week said financial inclusion and female education in STEM areas are key factors Sri Lanka should focus on rebuilding an inclusive and resilient economy, pointing out that financial inclusion is broadly defined as the access of particularly low-income households as small and medium enterprises to financial services. She said financial inclusion is an important pillar for women's economic empowerment. That was Economic News.
LONC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 golds at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LONC Finance claims the overall gold award whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LONC Finance will continue to innovate with the next generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
Weather report.
Showers or thundershowers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central, northwestern and southern provinces. Fairly heavy showers, about 75 millimeters, are likely at some places in the western, Sabaragamuwa and northwestern provinces and in the Kandy, Nuwara, Galle and Mathura districts. Several spells of showers will occur in the northern and north-central provinces. Showers or thundershowers will occur at several places in the over and eastern provinces, particularly during the afternoon or night. Strong winds, about 40 to 45 kilometers per hour, can be expected at at times over the western and southern coastal areas and along the western slopes of the Central Hills. That was the weather report, and now to end this news broadcast, the main points once again. The President says Sri Lanka will not support any work that hinders the unity of Asia. Sri Lanka will establish the world's first international environmental university. The Treasury receives 160 million rupee fine for brown sugar imports. The Sri Lanka Bar Association fully supports revision of labour laws. The Agriculture Minister instructs to inquire effective use of urea fertilizer in paddy cultivation. Vietnam Buddhists donate medicine to Sri Lanka. The Meteorology Department issues an advisory on cyclonic storm Mocha. And on international news, Israeli airstrike kills missile commander of Palestinian Islamic Jihad. And on sports news, cricket, Sri Lanka level series with a dominant win over Bangladesh in the second women's T20 international. That ends this news broadcast.